Hello, Tony here. Um, Today I wanted to get a little bit into gold, um, and what I think it's gonna do for 2026. Um, some of what I shared in other videos, I'm not coming from a place where I just want to make a prediction and then tell everybody I told you so. I actually do hope that what I share helps somebody or encourages, or what makes you even just feel good about what you've maybe already done, the position that you've already taken, maybe to some confidence and encouragement. I guess it's if you're a precious metals investor, gold, silver, primarily are the two that people invest in. If you go to any coin shop, that's usually what you're going to find. I mean, I guess it's possible to find other things like a copper coin laying around, which may not be a bad idea either, but I don't know if copper physical will be. I mean, eventually with inflation, who knows? But I think right now it's going beyond the scope to bring up something like copper. And right now, like I said, I wanted to bring up gold and what I think it's going to do this year, 2026. It's still early enough in the year. Got gold and silver both off to a good start for 2026. And then we'll see. If you want to go by indicators, usually investments like gold and silver, or commodities like gold and silver, and I believe that correlates usually with stocks too. Usually when they have a good start to the month, start to the year, not start just to the month, excuse me, start to the year. So in January, usually it ends as a good year for commodities, and like I said, I believe stocks too. I don't pay a ton of attention to stocks, just not really my area of focus, but there are some similar correlations, and it's what a lot of people are familiar with. So I mentioned. But yeah, just some things that are going on for 2026. I guess I want to preface what I'm going to say with just explaining a little bit of my thought pattern. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. I'm not just picking a number out of a hat. Not just making a claim to say. Excuse me, that's my car shutting down after I've been idling too long. But let's see. So, okay. Central banks have been stacking gold, as a lot of you are aware, or who knows, maybe unaware. I think most people coming to find or look for this video would probably come across it because they have some knowledge of what's going on with central banks and gold stacking. And already it's gone from what was about 500 tons to it started about 2022, where that did it more than double or double? I believe just about double, dude. Somewhere over 1,000 tons collectively in global and central banks around the world. So I mean, an increased demand of double would, now looking back, would then lead someone to believe, well, then that completely naturally explains the price in gold going up. Yes, that does explain a lot of it. Just that right there. Yes, that's a huge increase in demand. But here's the thing, that demand, so that was before 2022 was about 500 tons per year. And I believe that's even in more recent history, say back the 4 or 5 years before that. I'd have to Google that to see when that started, or if that was, honestly, yeah, I can't. Maybe that's when I started paying more attention. I've been interested in gold and silver for a couple of decades, but more just as, it was, say 15, 20 years ago, just getting my feet wet, buying a few coins. But I think that thing, that if you have an interest and over time you develop and learn more and more, and you have a bigger interest, and then you realize there's so much information out there. So at first it was just, buy it today, and then kind of, I guess, like a lot of us do, pray and hope and not even spending that much time praying and hoping, really just buy it and then kind of forget about it, and then, oh, look, it's still worth the same, or, oh gosh, it's gone down, or, oh, look, it's up now. So I think if you give it enough of a time span, you tend to be on top when it comes to precious metals. But yes, so the global demand from central banks has doubled from beginning 2022 to 2024. And then part of it too, where I think we're seeing even more recent pressure on the price of gold has been in 2025. Was it 2025? Yeah, well, gosh, it's 2026. So yes, in 2025, it was over 60% increase in global central bank demand. So even from it doubling from 2022 to 2024, in 2025, we've seen a 60% increase on the year. So that's significant. When it's already doubled, demand has already doubled, and then there's a 60% increase on top of that. It's compounding demand. It's demand putting demand on top of demand. So that does, simple laws of supply and demand, and limited supply. And then the supply tends to be limited to what can be produced today. You can't just decide, okay, I mean, you can go pan for gold, but a large scale gold operation takes time, takes investment. They gotta dig up the earth. They gotta find a spot, or they gotta explore a spot they already have, or drill down deep, or whatever it takes. It takes time, and I don't know the exact numbers. I have been looking at miners and getting more interested in that, but I want to say it takes like a decade, maybe five, at least. I would guess at least 5 years, but I want to say it's even more. Again, I'd have to Google that. But and if you're interested, that's a thing to look at. But right now, with the supply that exists, the demand that's increasing, I really do think that, and to again more confidently, I'm pretty damn sure that gold is going to increase this year, and by a significant amount. I don't know if it's gonna completely double. Like the jump from 2021 to 2022 in demand, and then subsequent price later on. But I do think things are going to be significant. And if you look at last year, even silver was up over 100%, and gold was up there. I want to say 60 something percent. You see how not specific on the numbers I am? Excuse me. I know every percent matters when it comes to increase and decrease, but I tend to be a bigger picture kind of guy. So, if something goes up 50%, or if something goes up 60%, I'm not really worried if it's 61 or 62. It's just, that's detail that I don't get into. But I could see gold. I don't know what the exact, I'd have, Well, my phone's right there, so I'm not going to pull out the calculator right now. But I know I've been thinking about this and wanting to come up even with my, let's call it, limited knowledge, what I do know, what I do believe, and it's not like I have any big plan for, but I would like to put out there. The more I learn, the more I seem to be able to, say, okay, I can expect silver to do this in a year. I can expect gold to do that in a year. And from everything I'm seeing, I do think it's reasonable to say $7,000 to $8,000 gold by the end of 2026. Who am I? I'm just a guy with my belief. And so take that for what you will. I'm not telling you to buy or sell or do anything. That's what I think is going to happen. And I have positioned myself comfortably. I would say, I don't go out on a limb. I don't starve myself. Well, obviously, myself or my family, but long-term savings, sure. I think you do way better in gold, silver. Silver's tends to be much more volatile. Gold tends to be a little more stable, but there's going to be fluctuations. And here's the thing. I mean, people look at, say, the stock market, and okay, it's a little more stable. Prices tend to go up, and if I can get 8% or 10% a year, woohoo, I did great. What's wrong with getting 100% one year? Do you have to wait 10% over 10 years? And, I know that's not the exact math, but you kind of get my idea. Like, is it so bad to get over 100% one year? Imagine that, if you had done that at the beginning of your investing portfolio life, whatever, your 401k, you have 1 year where you get 100%, 150%. And then the rest of the years just get 8 or 10. Oh, wow, you just set yourself way ahead. So, I don't know, maybe you could consider precious metals or even add a portion of your portfolio. And if it hugely outperforms, hey, is that so bad? Like if you get a big boost out of, 10%, 15, 20% of your portfolio does 100% or even 50%. People in the investing gurus out there would be doing cartwheels if they pick something. They'd be bragging left and right about how great their stock picking was if they could pick a stock and tell everybody about it, and do 50%. Shoot, if they do 20%, they're tooting their own horn. So I think it is significant. I think there will be a big percentage. I think the biggest percentage would be in silver. So take that how you will. But still, if you like the stability and gold is your thing, I think the bigger your portfolio, the more of a place something like gold could have in it. If you don't have much of a portfolio, you might want to just go with silver. But I think 7,000 to 8,000. I'm kind of thinking, do I want to? I was thinking before, like 8,000. I think it really could. And you know what it is too? It's those things like, could gold go up to 10? Yeah, I could just say, okay, gold's going to be 10,000. That's easy to say. But then when you look at history and you see that, okay, maybe it'll go up to 10,000 during the year, but is it going to stay there? Is it not going to pull back some? And so I think, okay, you know what? I think I can even see that. We could probably quite easily see, I think, I don't know, the 10 thing, it seems a little bit of that psychological factor. But, just as an example, let's say not that this is going to happen, but say the price shoots up to 9,000 something, you're gonna start having those people that say, hey, if it goes to 10, it's gonna crash after, or who knows, it's gonna take 6 months or a year to come back. So they're gonna see it pushing past 9, and you're gonna get people that are gonna take some profit. If maybe not every little guy out there, but if enough people, if enough whales with enough of a position start selling, yeah, you can see it get cut off before it hits 10, or right as it reaches 10, and that's where you get a lot of the bigger investors wanting to sell off before it hits those markers of 9, 10, because they kind of know it's coming. They fear it's coming, and they want to lock in some profits. Who knows how long they've been waiting for it. So if, say, you were to get it now somewhere around 5,000, and you're saying, well, I got it at 5, I want to double my money, I want to get it at 10, and it goes up to 9, and you're still waiting for 10, and then it crashes down to 8. It's really that thing, like your time in the market, your time with the investment. If that's your window, probably it might be too volatile for you. But yeah, you got to make your decision. There's a lot of people out there that get a lot more in detail in explaining their rationale. Like I said, I tend to be more of a big picture guy, and more of a macro than micro. I mean, it's important to understand the micro on a lot of things, but in this case, that's not my focus. I'm looking at the timer here on the video. We're already into 17 minutes, and if I got any more micro on the details, then the video will be even longer and you lose more people. So I guess my focus right now is just encouraging people to consider precious metals, especially like silver, but encouraging precious metals as an alternative to big banks. And yeah, and maybe if I help somebody, great. Or maybe I'm just enjoying talking to myself and recording videos. I don't know. But I guess, no, I really do hope it reaches somebody. I hope it helps somebody. Maybe changes somebody's life. Who knows? But that's it on gold for now. So yeah, I'm going to say, let's see, what's my final answer? I'm going to say 8,000 gold. I initially thought 7,500, but I think that's being too, it's even kind of pulling back, like I was saying, from the 10,000 perspective, and then wanting to say 9, or, it hits 9,000 something and it crashes down to 8. So I was thinking 8, and then I'm like, well, what if 8's the number? So I want to pull back to say 7,500. But no, I think I'm fairly confident in saying, like, we could see, I think 7,000 definitely. 7,500 probably is. Yeah, you know what? I'll stick with what I was gonna say. I do think gold is going to have another good year. 8 might be pushing it, but yeah, I'll stick a little more conservative on gold and say a comfortable 7,500. So that's my idea for gold for 2026. Final answer, 7,500, and we'll see by December or January, with the once the year's passed, how far off I am. You can even put it that way. I'm not beyond being humble. But that's what I would expect. I would not be surprised. And I guess that's why I'm enjoying this period of silver and gold. Well, yeah, because I've taken a position, and but it also is too. I think the longer you spend in something, especially investing in silver and gold over the last couple of decades, it's really been because I thought a time like this would be coming. And it's kind of, it depends on a lot of factors, and I will say those in power, I really thought there was going to be really, really bad, worse than we had economic times a decade ago. So it really is kind of that, like it's called a safe haven investment. It's good for day to day savings. It tends to outperform uh, other investments, but even when it doesn't perform so amazingly, it usually seems to do okay. Like over time. It's funny. The same things that people say to encourage stock market investing, they say it against precious metals investing, which is ironic. And I think part of that is, those people that most money managers don't get much out of you just buying silver and gold and holding it. Especially if you buy it outside of their system. If you're not buying, um, different paper options or electronic options. If you're buying actual physical, then yeah, you're just dealing with the dealers, and dealers are making their percentages, but money managers aren't making anything off of that. So take that. If you know what, I throw a lot of little nuggets out there, and if you get a something, I guess that's my hope. Is I know a little bit. I like to share, and hopefully, you learn or you're encouraged, or you find out maybe something new. So, that's it for today. I just wanted to make a little video about my idea on what gold will do for 2026 before we got too far into the year, and then I'm just, kind of backseat quarterbacking. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Tell me out. Ciao, ciao.